Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders Episode 3 review. Now, of course, that link is going to be in the description box down below on Crunchyroll.com. Dio Brando is awesome. I love this. Yes, I have a huge Dio bias. I do. I'm a human being, even though he's not. Now, the thing here is that this episode actually revolves around mainly three people. Noriaki, Holly, and Dio. Now, Noriaki, first of all, basically, we find out that the protrusion on his forehead, like this cellular lump, actually has like this very long end, and the very long end is actually going into like Noriaki's brain. And Dio is actually able to take control of people through this method. And this weird bump-like protrusion is alive, and it actually comprises of Dio Brando's cells. Now, what's very important to note is two things. Number one, the fact that Jotaro's stand, Star Platinum, it actually gets that name at the end of the episode, is able to remove it because it has such great precision. But the second thing to note, that's very important, is that, first of all, we see Joseph actually perform the good old-fashioned ripple. Overdrive, yeah, the good old-fashioned ripple. Love that stuff. But note how the ripple actually disintegrated or pulverized the cellular mass. So that's very important because we know that the ripple was the only thing that could affect those who had worn the mask. And since Dio Brando is one of them, and since Joseph actually was still able to use the ripple on a thing that comprised of Dio cells, this may still mean that the ripple can still affect Dio Brando. So, and we're not too sure about this. We'll see later on, because Joseph and Dio have not made direct contact, but it may be the case where the ripple still has an effect on Dio Brando. So, again, that's very important to keep in mind. But Noriaki, he's now alive, and even though he was going to die, because according to what Joseph said, he probably would have died within a few days or a few weeks' time because of the damage, and also because of this cellular mass inside of his brain, or that was going into his brain. And he's now joined up with with Joseph and with Jotaro on their quest, on their mission to go kill Dio Brando. Because now there's been another issue. And that issue is Holly, the daughter of Joseph and the mother of Jotaro. And she has some... Basically, she suffered an illness, pretty much. But the illness is not normal because it's stand-related. And we find out that apparently, given the circumstances, a stand can actually kill someone. A stand can actually kill the host, if you would. And that's very important to know because in her case, things can get so bad where she will actually suffer several symptoms and then she'll go into a coma and then she will die. So we're talking about several symptoms here of all sorts of diseases. Then she'll go into a coma and then finally she'll pass away because she doesn't have the will to control her stand. And it's also because a stand is a very emotional thing. Like, it's also tied to emotions as well. And Holly's emotions aren't along the same lines as her father and her son, where she is far more dainty, she is far more loving and caring. And her emotions and her mindset can easily be overcome by someone like Dio Brando's. So that's number two. And you can kind of say that it's more or less a segue into forcing, I would suppose, forcing Jotaro's hand into going over to where Dio Brando is located, which they do find out via means of Star Platinum and Muhammad, where they're actually able to decipher one of the pictures that Joseph had of Dio. And basically, Star Platinum is able to actually perceive a small fly. I mean, they weren't joking when he said that he has very good perception. Was able to perceive a small fly in the darkness, every detail. And then Muhammad conveniently knew this fly and was able to pinpoint its location to a certain area of Egypt. Now, I'm just saying, I mean, I live in, New York, and I can tell you right now, if someone showed me a fly, I would have no idea. Like, okay, all right, fine. Like, okay, fine. I couldn't pinpoint which region of New York this fly came from. I'm just saying. Then again, this guy did have an encyclopedia, but still, the fact that remains here is that it's a little bit too convenient. Regardless, Mom is now being taken care of by the Speedwagon Foundation. Speedwagon still relevant to this day. Speedwagon. And, man, let me just deviate real quick. I remember how in the first part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, in the manga, I remember when Speedwagon and Jonathan first met. In the manga, it was hilarious because Jonathan Joestar, he was saying how he had like these log-like kicks, like straight up tree trunks. And he used it as a means of threatening Speedwagon and his boys. I thought it was hilarious. Just straight up tree trunk kicks. That was hilarious. And but getting back up to the episode, finally, Dio Brando. One word, charisma. Holy shit. Apparently his charisma is so magnetizing, so phenomenal, that even though Muhammad had previously heard about Dio Brando, when he first met him in like that back alleyway, just two dudes in the back alleyway, stuff ain't going down right, especially when that other dude is Dio Brando. And how Dio, he had like this aura, and he would talk like this, really smooth. Hey, how you doing? I heard that you have some powers. Show me. And Muhammad was just awestruck. Couldn't move. His voice was like this certain sweetness, and he had to bail. He hauled ass because it was inhuman. He knew it. And it was hilarious. But Dio was scouting out Muhammad like long ago. And again, we find out that later on in the episode, he has this ability. Like, the ability is actually very similar, if not the exact same ability. No, it is. It's the exact same ability of Hermit Purple. And I don't know how Dio has that. So maybe this means that Dio Brando actually has, he can take stands, or he can mimic stands of the Joestars. Scary. I mean, because again, he has the same type of camera that Joseph has. His hand has the thorns on them. He hits the thing. It's the same thing. So what's going on with Dio? I don't know. I have no idea. So Mr. Brando has to enlighten us later on. He has to. Because this may mean that he actually may have an ability similar to Jotaro's Star Platinum. Alright. So, I'm hyped. But the thing here is this, though. Now they're on their way to go over and face Dio Brando. And Dio Brando now has their location because he's doing the same thing that Joseph does to him. And in the case of Joseph, he can't perceive Dio because Dio's always hiding in the darkness, in the shadows. Always like posed up and shit. Like, shoulders. He's always doing that shoulder, or like over the... He looks over the shoulder all the time. All the time. But in the case of Dio, he perceives where Joseph and Jotaro are. And they're on this plane. and it appears as if like there is a stand user on the plane waiting there for them. So Dio Brando has very loyal henchmen to serve him. So overall, the episode, the animation was on point, the pacing was fast, and because of that, we had a lot of story progression. And the character development mainly goes for Holly and her will, or I guess she wants to maintain this perception of being okay when she's not okay, and she still cares for the people around her despite her condition. Also, character development mainly for Kyakorin, where in which he actually decides to go over. Because here's the thing, right? Honestly, I wasn't gonna call Kyakorin his first name. I was gonna say Nozarashi, and yeah, it's been on my mind all damn day, all damn week. It really has. But the thing here is that Kyakorin, he basically is now going over with them, and he has a change of heart. He feels as if like he must also protect Holly because Holly has, in a way, swayed him, as well as being saved by Jotaro and so on and so forth. So character development main for those two. And that's it pretty much. So overall episode rating is going to be OK+. And I will see you guys later. King Lighting. Rate the video, comment, and subscribe as always. A very mellow review, but it is what it is. Peace. Have a nice day.